The Media and Communication Department at Coventry School of Art and Design invite you to listen to a talk by Seba Kurtis as part of the undergraduate photography program.
Hi guys, how you doing? Well, just before I start my immigration files, which is my main project, I would love to introduce you to this video about the situation, the political situation in Argentina in 2001, which is a really strong element about my family deciding to leave the country, and my photography came around to this immigration topic because of my experience. So it would be great for you to just to have a look to see how it was the situation, and it's a documentary made by Pino Solana, which is an Argentinian artist.
El pueblo no se va. Son trabajadores, amas de casa, empleados, jubilados y estudiantes, herederos de aquellos que por décadas habían desafiado dictaduras y persecuciones, soportado ajustes y en democracia traicionados.
So that was the situation in my hometown, Buenos Aires, 2001. And at that point, me and my family, we were kind of tired and really ready to leave. So when we see the opportunity to go to Europe, and we're talking about illegal immigration, we never saw it as negative things to being illegal. After that situation, when you have a way out, anything is positive. So we always saw being illegal as a new hope to start a new life. So that's my dad. He was the first one to join me after I left, and he started to work as a security guard at night for a few months, and until we get the money to bring my mom. That's my mom. She started. The only work I found for her was in a hotel, like a cleaning lady for the toilets and the rooms. And the only problem is I knew the woman, the contractor, and it was really difficult to get the money from her all the time. So sometimes she works long hours and she didn't get paid. But that's a risk. Like you live with that every day when you're illegal. Then it started to get better in Europe. Now they're a little bit more stable, and so they went back to Argentina. We have another crisis in the 80s in Argentina, like this one in 2001. It's the story of South America, you know. We are in constant crisis. The one like you saw in the video in 2001, what happened was the banks did a pact with the government. So they froze the money of the people. So imagine you go now to the bank, try to take your savings to buy a beer or a dress or whatever you do, and the machine says that money is not yours anymore. All your savings are not yours. They belong to the state now. So you have what you have in your pocket. That was for more than a year that the people can't get access to their own money. But this one was different. The one in the 80s, it was about conversion and inflation. So many people got one day to another on the street losing the jobs, and we lose our house and we got repossessed. So they took all the furniture and everything inside. The only thing that remains was this shoebox with all these photographs like I'm showing now. So my parents had the chance to go back to Argentina a few years ago, and the rescue, the only belong that we have, it was in my grandma's house. At that time I was doing the project's immigration file, and when I saw this picture, I was just immediately attracted to them for the traces. You can see the damage. They were suffered a flood, so you can see the water being a big part on the pictures. And I thought it would be a great representation about the political situation, our family situation. It resumed the crisis like we used to live daily. So I decided to include it as a part of a project and show it along my immigration files. So I choose to don't show or to don't keep any text. So the narrative was bring by these pictures. Lots of them, they came like that. The water stick one picture to each other, so when you just fold it out, you can see traces of other pictures, emulsions, chemicals there. And I thought it can be great to use it too. It wasn't just about the images. It was more about the traces of our history. I'm a really good footballer, but this is a photo studio in Quilmes, and I include it because I always have this attraction. The language of photography is new for me, so every time I travel or I go wherever I go, I get into this photo studio to see how other people works. So that brings me to the first part of the project, Immigration Files. I grew up in Buenos Aires under a really violent dictatorship. When I get a little bit older, a teenager, I realized that America, the States, was highly involved in this repression, in this dictatorship, was openly supported by the Reagan administration. So 700 Miles, this project was really open-minded for me because I never wanted to go to America by any circumstances. So I decided to go when Bush approved this law in 2006 to build this fence of 700 miles in the southern border of America, Texas, Arizona, and California. But I wasn't just attracted for the actual fence. I was more attracted about these new movements, anti-immigration movements. After the 90s, the Ku Klux Klan was quite quiet in a way. So when this came out, they found a reason to get back to arms. And the biggest movement, it calls the Minutemen. So what they do, they organize themselves mainly by internet. They create this software. They put cameras all around the fence. So you can download this software and you can watch the fence, part of the fence, in your house, sitting in your computer. So if you see any movement, you give them a ring. And they come with these vans. You can see them abandoned in the desert in Arizona. And shotguns, and literally they shoot Mexicans crossing or Hispanic crossing. So they take the law by their own hands. And so it was difficult to go there and see this situation, but at the same time, I really didn't want to show. I want to step back from the traditional language of photography, documentary photography. I didn't want to show in a kind of photojournalistic way. I choose to show in a more conceptual way, if you want. To engage the audience more than have a show and feel the audience have sorry about the picture, sorry about the people. I prefer if they have sorry, but at least they get stimulated with the images and they can talk about it, about the issue. This book called Hispanic was my main research for this specific project. Every came in peace when I read this. So I usually take a few months to do my research. But sometimes things like that happen. You find a book where everything is there, or a movie, or whatever motivation you need just to feel right and go there and shoot. And again, that was my final degree show, 700 miles for my school in 2008. Again, I didn't have much influence in photography or in art. Everything it was new for me. I don't come from a family or a neighborhood where you go to a gallery or you go to a museum. The opposite, we just listen salsa and drink beer. So I didn't have any kind of strong influence of painting or anything to go and shoot. My main influence came from magic realism, was a type of writing that we have in South America, Borges, Garcia Marquez. So they introduced me to these books in school. And so like this woman here in the picture, Ari, is a superwoman for me. I used to read about her, about these characters, about the daily life, and they do supernatural things. So for me, this woman crossing illegally and work 12 hours a day, really hard to bring the money back to the two children. That is people who makes a difference. And that's the people who anoints these minutemen. So I wanted to take a beautiful portrait of them, not a portrait like looking down and this stereotype like we have of documentary. I want a proud portrait of them. They are my heroes. They are the people who works hard and wants a better future for the family. Again, another photo studio I visited in Nogales, in the border. And a lot of the work came across my memories too, because I was one of them. In Spain, for over 5 years I was illegal, working in construction sites or whatever come up. Came from memories that I caught from those moments. So my friend found me this work in a construction site doing manual labor, but he couldn't find me a house. So I had to share with 12 guys just a 2-bedroom rooms. There were Colombians, Moroccans, Argentinians, but the space was really limited. But we have one thing in common, it's just a better life, so we all share and try to make the best of it. So in this house in Mexico, well, this is Arizona, it's not Mexico. There were living 7 people in this just this sofa and a kitchen. They were all in the floor. So again, I'm open. When I'm shooting, I'm really open to things that happen there and they trigger my memory. That's El Gavilan, again, another portrait of he present himself like that, just standing and chill in his own house. Another research like happens there is things that happen around me, like this billboard in California. And that's completely bullshit what they say here. And I have this romantic notion of, I like to think, in photography I like to think about energy and try to put that energy I want to represent with these guys, this illegal immigration, to put in another level of energy to give, again, this engaging and this motivation to the people to look at that, not just to turn around. So I always look for colors, lights, and this kind of traditional or the first approach that I call when I get into photography. You know, these beautiful people who work with light. That was a clear example about how afraid Americans are about the changing face of America. This guy was Miguel Pineda. It was he's signing out day. You know, every Friday he signed out to go 2 days out of this kind of prison, and he couldn't speak a word in Spanish, but he thinks himself he's American. And in 10 years or 15 years time, they reckon this is going to be the majority of the American population. And the Americans are really, really afraid. They don't want this to happen. That's a way how they fund themselves to create this. They create the fence because they think the government is too lazy in a way. So they create the fence themselves. They go and build it with their own hands. So now I put this picture to talk about a little bit of the approach technical approach, if you want to say it. Jonathan told me like you working with light a lot now. So yeah, he came across by accident, inspired in this situation, in this specific moment. We were working in this big construction site, and the police came undercover in the raid. So we have to all run and hide as we can. So me and a few friends, we found this big water tank. So we get inside, we hide there, and this guy, El Loco, is a Colombian guy. He thought it wasn't a really good spot to hide. So he moved a few meters, and when he was moving, police caught him in this roof. So we saw how he got deported, and they gave him like just, it was 2 days in jail, and they gave him a few hours to say goodbye to the wife and the little kid. So it's done. So I asked one of the friends, how is the process? He said maybe he's going to be in Colombia for a few years, working in a taxi, whatever he can make, try to find a fake passport, and back. So it's going to take like 5-6 years to him to go back. So I thought he's going to miss all his daughters growing up. At that moment I realized the kind of, not gravity, but what it was being illegal. Before, for me, was just a word. I'm going to work, okay, sometimes you don't get paid or you get abused, but at least I have money, I can send money to my family, so it was good. At that moment I realized my life is just, it can finish in a minute. So it becomes really chaotic, everything. I try to be invisible in a way. I don't want to just take the bus in hours, like when the police can came. If something gets broken in my house, I don't want to fix it because I don't want to spend money in a thing like tomorrow I'm gone and that money get wasted. So your life become really chaotic and everything is imperfect. So I thought damaging the negatives, the 5-4 negatives, it can be a really good representation of this lifestyle. Everything is broken, everything is imperfect. It came across well. So what you saw in the 700 miles was more, I let light coming through the bags of the film. So the light decide who is staying, who is not, or which picture is lucky enough to get bullish and which is out and completely white. Which I did in this next project, which is a few days more, the second stage of immigration files. I wanted to get more personal with every single picture. So what I did is I damaged it on camera. I opened the dark slide, or I just opened the back of the 5.4 in the moment I was taking the pictures. And some they came like that. And again, my motivation for this stage was Berlusconi, the Prime Minister of Italy, did a pact with Umberto Bossi, which is like a former Nazi from the Lega Nord, in the north of Italy, to get elected. And what they did, they give Libya 5 billion euros to protect the coastal border so the people don't cross anymore to Italy, to Lampedusa or Malta. So the traffickers, they found a new route in Rashid and Alexandria in Egypt. But this new route take a few days more, take 2-3 days more to get to land. So the boats start to sink monthly, like with overcrowded, and it was really painful to see people dying by hundreds. So that's for the newspaper, and they found these 2 guys who managed to survive to the boat. And they say, like, to the journalists, they say, like, they can't wait to go back, try to make some money, and try again to get to Italy. So that shows how desperate the population is. And that is a target for the traffickers. They found these guys between 18 and 40 years old, young guys, who the family make donations with jewelry or money or whatever. So they decide one guy to go of the family, and that's it. If he makes it, he brings family by month. He brings money, sorry, by month, and everyone happy. that was shot at Alexandria at night, and again, just damaging on camera give me the freedom to choose which one I can damage and which one I don't. Really, really young people, like, they can't decide by themselves. They should, or they have to go because family say or friends say. That's another example about the damage. I didn't want to damage this picture, so I just leave it as it was, because I took this picture in a place where this guy works between 12 and 16 hours a day, and probably he makes 30 quid a month. Really young guy. And that was this frame, this picture with the plane was his landscape, his vision. He just was sitting, watching this, waiting for the lift to open and carry those stuff. So he drew these bombs coming out of the plane. So I thought, again, it's really representative about the no future, the no way out of the youth in Egypt. So I really wanted to keep it as it was. Another way to get around the project is talking with the people there and meet the people and go to places, and it's a really good way to discover new, not just pictures, but new aspects and new emotions on the project. This little guy reminds me of my brother, my little brother, who was the last one to came to join us in Europe, and he was in a really similar situation. He was really young. My brother finished school, has a girlfriend, all his friends, so he has to leave everything, because not just me, but my family or my parents' side, the future is in another place. So he has just to cut off all his life and join us. And the same with this guy in Egypt. So what I did, when I took the picture, just before I click it, I put my own breath on the lens to put a trace of myself on the picture. For that reason, it's quite bleachy. And that's how much it cost. 3,000 quid for them. It's a lot of money to pay to the traffickers to try to reach Europe. I met two traffickers in that journey, Captain Jack and Captain Dennis. That's Jack. So yeah, it isn't easy in a Muslim country to find these guys. So I found them by chance. When I suspect what's going on, I start to follow them. So I check in the same hotel and I start to just try to make conversation and have a beer or whatever with them. So they came really friendly with me. So we started to drink. So the plan was easy. Just I get them drunk. They tell me everything and just take a portrait. When you work in large format, it's not like you go with your iPhone and you just click a picture on the cover. You have to just make or build this trust with your sitter, right? So I thought I make them drunk, take the picture and run off. After 2 hours, I was completely drunk, and they were really fresh. You know, people from the ocean, they know how to drink. So it took me 2 days to take this portrait, and I was completely wasted. I can't believe it's on focus, man. It just. But yeah, again, another aspect is you have to try to see the bigger picture. If I want to show a project and I want to talk about it to the people here or whatever it is, I have to make negotiations with people like you maybe hate normally in your real life. So it's not that it's hard. It's you have to be focused on what you want after, and that make your project a little bit more easy. The same with this guy. And that is how difficult the people who made the trip have it. this Umberto Bossi saying boats carrying illegal immigrants should be shot out of the water. And it is, at that time, was a minister of federal reform in Italy. So imagine put a law. Well, the Americans did that with Bin Laden a few weeks ago. So they just want to shoot people. Again, I didn't want to damage this one. It was damage itself. And so this was a gazebo in the delta where the Nile meets the ocean. And so they have really small fishing boats going to the big fishing vessel to carry the immigrants. So they queue at night in this place with this metal gazebo there. So probably for some of them that was the last thing they're going to see with the feet on land. And again, really rusty, really deteriorate. And it represents for me the change. They want to change, they want to go to the better life, just crossing the water. So I decide, instead of taking pictures of the boats, I decide just to represent it on this bulb light. And I decided to include this kind of abstract picture because it was really physical. This project. My fixer disappeared after 2 days, and he gave me this knife, saying like, "I'll give you some protection. Don't worry about it." So I found myself not speaking the language, don't know where to go, with all my researching notes. So every time I take the camera out on my own, people want to stop me doing it physically. People from the street. That's on the ocean. I want to take a picture of the ocean. People came to stop me. So when I try to understand why, I think it's because this journalist, or this for the journalism idea like we got, manipulation of the journalists, like when you go to a place, you want people to look by, you want this shit's going on there, so we feel better here, you know. So I think the people saw that out, so when they think you're a journalist, they try to stop you doing it if you're on your own. So when I saw them coming, try to stop me, I just tried to make everything quick, and I put the dark light. When they stop me, we start to push each other, and I have the time to click, but I couldn't sort it out, the shoot speed or the aperture or anything. So it came like that. So I like to think like they set it up, the camera, for me. They want to show this, how they don't want to show us the other aspect of the immigration. And that take us to the last bit of the immigration file, which is drowned. So I started in America, went to Africa, and that's the origin, Canary Island, where the boats arrive from Mauritius or Morocco. And that was the place where I used to live at the end of my life in Spain, in Canary Islands, where the work was for me. So something really casual or really unexpected happened here. I went 3 times, and I found and didn't find an easy way to do it. I started with portraits, then I started with landscape, but I never feel right what I was doing. So one day, this friend of mine showed me this documentary from Spanish television, where 2 journalists undercover, they went on one of these boats, and they have this SAT device that they can be reached anywhere. So the first time they tried to cross, the Mauritius Navy intercept them on the ocean. What they did, they take all the food, all the life jacket, they let them sink on the water. I'm talking about 80 people. So I start to think how many people are drowned there. They don't even take into the news, and it's like a cemetery, the ocean. So I was really upset, and what I did, is I grabbed all the boxes of 5.4 that I was shooting at that moment and drowned them on the ocean where they arrived. And I didn't expect. I didn't know what to expect. It was more anger than a conscientious decision. So they came. The pictures that came like that. You know, processed by the water in a way before I sent them to the lab. What I did was I found a friend who has a video camera, so he recorded that moment for me, and thinking if nothing came out, I don't care. I just have the video to see what I was doing. So I will show you this video, just 40 seconds, to show you to understand how I did it. So that is the end of the immigration files. I thought when you think the project is exhausted, like you did a lot or you don't, you can feel it's finished in a way. Even when I got at that point, I start to show it everywhere, and I have really good response, and I have a lot of opportunities to continue doing it, and they offer me to do it, but it didn't feel honest to go and shoot it just for the sake. I thought, that's it, that's what I want to show. So before this, what I'm gonna show you now is my new work. Like, it's not out yet, and I think it can be cool for you, like you're finished school or you start school, like to have an insight of not just the research, but the process of just before I publish it, how it works. So this is where I'm working right now. I'm in the scanning process of this project, and it was kind of inspired for a friend called Andrew Phelps, who is part of the POC project that I'm part of. It's kind of a family of photography, and Andrew showed me a few books, kind of really personal, really intimate, limited edition books, like he does in between his big project or his big books. So I thought that's a great idea to let it go and do something like not that big, and just go and let it go, shooting and bring something back. So I'm waiting to go back to Argentina to do another project, and I have this idea on my mind about doing something a little bit smaller. So I take experience about my friend Dodo, who was a guy, fantastic guy that I met in Spain, and we become really close, become part of my family in a way. We used to live together, we used to do everything together, and what happened with him is he was a really positive guy, full of life. We were illegal, but he wasn't that lucky with the papers in a way. So when he got the papers, he has to negotiate to work in this construction site with a pneumatic drill. So after 3 months, he couldn't take anymore. So he decides to become a human moose to traffic hashish from Morocco to Spain. So by that time I was living here in England, and we were texting and phone calls. I wasn't really agree with that, but he decided to do it. And the last time I met him, I went as soon as he got back from Morocco, he crossed successfully with the drugs on his stomach. I went to see him in Tenerife, and he was selling the eggs. So he described it as a great experience. He was really excited. He gives the freedom like he needs to. He was full of life, so he gives that freedom. The only thing he said to me, like, I would love to go back to that place and take some pictures, because it's a lovely place, but I was so scared and so nervous that I didn't enjoy it at all. And that was the last time we talked. He died shortly after in Barcelona on his own. We don't know how really. So when he died, it becomes by surprise for me. So I was really busy with my family doing stuff. I never had the time just to think about what happened. So I thought, if I go to Morocco and retrace his steps there, this route, maybe I will have time to take the pictures that he couldn't take. So I went back there, and that's the place, that's Tetuan, in the way to Chefchaouen. So what happened, it's an example how something personal becomes a little bit more global. I went there, and when I hung there with the people, I realized it's a big issue, what happened there in North Africa about the hashish. So it becomes something a bit bigger. So it has two stages. I went the first time, and I decided to go back this time, not just about my friend history, about the issue of hashish in Morocco. Okay, so we start with these images, and this is about money, obviously, and what he makes, or what the people make when they do this human meal business, probably 2,000 euros, and the people who does it obviously smoke, so he probably spent 500 smoking, and another 200-300 buying it, traveling. So the real profit that they make is grand and a half to risking that process. So I went there with my camera, and I started to photograph a bit with my style, in a way, and a bit of through his eyes, what he was interested in, and tried to put him in the character of my friend. And another way to show, again, without putting too much text on it, I found these X-rays from the Spanish Guardia Civil, which is the main force in Spain, about people who they caught there on the port or in the airport trafficking. So you can see all these little balls all around. This guy has like 120 stuck in the stomach all around. Water it was a really important factor for him, because when you have all that in the stomach, you don't go to the toilet. You don't have to go to the toilet, so you just drink water and you don't eat anything. So when you go to the toilet, like this bath there, he was carrying a piece of plastic with him. So that is a construct picture, because you don't want to lose anything. So when you go, just put the plastic on, do what you have to do, and just search for them, clean it, and sell it. So in a way, I try to represent the expulsion of this material in a cliche of photography, if you want to say, because he was kind of a, what you say here, tacky, or yeah, cliche. So grapes on a table, they have kind of the same size of what they eat. He ate 75 of this. And another way to show it for me is representation. And again, there are a few transparencies. 5/4 they came completely white, And the reason for that is just one, like I fucked her up. So what I did, I have it there for days, a few of them, and what he told me is, the last time it was like, probably they know that he was trafficking, but if they don't have an access to an X-ray machine at that moment, they can't do anything about it. So the X-ray is like taking the information out of them from their body. So what I did is I scanned transparency anyway, and I used the levels tool of Photoshop as my X-ray. So I just push the levels, and this is the hidden information of the transparency in a way. And this is people I was talking there, or for news, and so now we become a little bit more to the people instead of just my friend, and how everyone is involved in it because they live just for that. Everywhere you go, if you go to the hairdresser, if you go to buy a cell phone, whatever you do there, they offer you, if you want some to take for you, if they want to sell you some, because the money comes from there, so they survive, all the north survive from there. Just that area of Morocco, the north of Morocco, supply 80% of the hashish global in the world. So this guy says, he just buys books for the children, he buys food with hashish. He doesn't go and do other shit. They use it for survive. So I started to talk with the traffickers, or the dealers more than the traffickers. Those are the dealers. He was the main kind of dealer on the square. He was a year in jail they caught him with 6 kilos of hashish. But everyone knows what he does, everyone knows what everyone does. So it's not like disrespectful for the grandparents. The grandparents are the one who grow it. He goes down to the village to sell it. Again, a really young guy stopped me in the street to try to sell me some. And there's a common kind of factor between them and my friend that I found. Like, Dodo didn't have much teeth left, in a way. So he always say, when I have some money, the first thing I do is just fix my mouth. And if you go to that place, or many of the Middle East kind of north places, the male population has a problem with the teeth. Sugar, smoke, and maybe they don't clean, I don't know what it is. So I found this dentist, and this is how he shows in the street how to try to sell you teeth for you. And again, a lot of pictures inspired on his story, or what he told me, or the memories I got of this last conversation with him. So these mirrors represent a bit of everyone is looking at you. You don't recognize anyone. And he told me that. He told me everyone's with this shilaba, this hood is on walking. Everyone knows you go there to buy and to make business, but you don't trust anyone. They don't trust in you. So it's this just purely business relationship. It's nothing else there. It's nothing. They don't care about you. They care about trying to survive. And again, United States, European Union give them money to them to try to stop, in a way, this crop. But that with the corruption, the farmers don't have other option. They are the 5th generation of growing kiff. Kiff is how they call it to the hash. So they just know how to do that, or if they found a way, like assistance instead of money, they will do another stuff. But the money just goes to the bureaucrats. It doesn't go to them. They just have to grow it. I'm talking about 70 years old people, just women putting in the bag the whole crop and walking in the mountain. I'm not talking about an organization of this bloody Americans try to sort it out something. It's not real. So yeah, that is just an insight of my new project. And I'm going to finish just with this window about Piece of Cake, which is a network or family of photography like I'm part of. And I just wanted to mention it because some of the third-year people are going to finish now. For some, it's going to work great to be a photographer. For some, it's going to have a more slow process to get out there and work as a photographer. So this is a clear example. What we do is we just meet once a year in Europe and we just talk about work, talk about photography 24/7. And that is great, with no bullshit, you know, really honestly, and no bullshit at all. So that can be a good way for you to, you finish school and you find a big gap between a gallery and finish school. So it can be great if you meet in a pub once a month to show work to your friends, have a beer and just talk about it and not just do everything online. Because things happen when you just discuss about it, talk about photography, and you get stimulated and motivated to continue working. Because it can be, if you get a normal job and family and friends, but in 2-3 years you maybe forgot about, not forgot, but you dream about, oh, when I was a photographer. No, just, you have to make it happen. You have to just put the balls there and get it out. So yeah, that's it then.